Hello, Jamboriki here, and welcome to Student Showcase, a series where I'll be profiling some university students. In this episode, I'd like to introduce you to an animation student.
I'm Thomas Gamble. I'm a student at Sheffield Hallam University, a master's student in my third year of the animation course. I focus mainly on 2D animation, dabble in compositing and 3D and everything else. I'm quite the generalist. I go for other things. I guess my background stems from watching cartoons as a kid religiously. Things like Dexter's Laboratory, Johnny Bravo, Courage the Cowardly Dog, and then other like feature films like Robin Hood, The Jungle Book, a lot of Disney features actually, and my main influence is probably Milt Kahl or the creator of the regular show, J.G. Quintel. When I was a kid, I was always drawing. That was the only thing I was really doing. And that sounds like a cliche and everyone says that, but that's true. I was just drawing little comics, coming up with little ideas, and I never thought it would turn into something like animation. I knew that I wanted to create stories, but I didn't know in what form. And then in sixth form during my A-levels, I was considering becoming an RE teacher, and last minute, when we were asked to hand in our UCAS applications, I had a change of heart because I didn't want to choose something I regret, because I remembered throughout my life that I'd always wanted to do something using the arts. So I chose animation really because it was a thing that always influenced me to draw, and I just didn't know how to go about it. So obviously the thing that I did was to pick animation as a course and go for it at university. Really, my final year project focuses on anxiety. It's about a character named Jack, who is an everyday office worker. Whenever he's faced with like confrontation or something that he's not very confident about, he just backs away. So eventually, part of the story is he gets confronted by his manager, and a little creature appears, and that creature is a manifestation of Jack's anxiety. And the more and more that he avoids solving his issues, the more or the bigger the creature grows, until eventually he can't take anymore and tries to escape, and then in like a weird scenario overcomes his fears and defeats the monster basically. And that's my idea. So far I've done the character designs. I've basically finished all those. I've done storyboards and the animatic. I've done some tests, walk cycles, movements. Next I'm moving on to background designs for the actual animation. Do some colour tests to see how that works as I'm scanning it in, colouring it on either Photoshop or something else. I'm going to test out some maybe some speech from the monster, and quite soon, just after Christmas period, I'm going to start actually testing out my shots for the animation and hopefully begin the production. Originally I was going to do something really cliche like sword fight, something anime-esque. And then I was talking to my girlfriend one day, and she was like, for your final year project, it has to be something real and something that you're going to hate and you're going to love at the same time. So I decided to do it about an issue, like my own issue, like personal, to do with anxiety, because I'm like Jack in some ways. I don't solve my issues properly, I don't confront things properly. So I thought it was a good idea to work on something that I could as a character I could sympathise with. So that's where that stemmed from. But my main influences in terms of design, I'd say, in terms of the character, the creature called the Jester, I'd say it was from Kokomon from the Digimon movie. Not in his pre-evolution phase, but like the main I think it's champion level, I'm not too sure. But that was the main influence, because he was like a really dark and mysterious character with a dark, his background. He didn't know much about. He obviously knew quite a lot about him, but he was quite a mysterious and intimidating character, and I wanted my character to be like that. In terms of another influences, I'd say obviously Disney films, definitely hand drawn. Like I said, Milt Kahl, big influence of mine. Robin Hood, The Jungle Book, 101 Dalmatians, stuff like that. Just huge influences to me in terms of the style and just how amazing the movement is, how they just capture the movement, how realistic it can look at times. Obviously not the characters themselves, but like the movement of the characters is just so fluent, and it's just, they make it look so easy, but it's not. And that was the main reason I wanted to do hand drawn, because I felt that if I did my piece in 3D, it wouldn't have the same essence as it would in hand drawn. And I also considered stop motion, but I thought again it wouldn't. It's the kind of story that needs to be told through hand drawn. It's just this feeling I've got. You couldn't really have 101 Dalmatians or Robin Hood in 3D or stop motion. It would have the same. It would feel cold. It wouldn't feel heartwarming, or you wouldn't recognise the work and the passion and the emotion that's gone into it. So, as pretentious as that sounds, that's how I feel about that. But in terms of other influences, I'd just say everything that I watched as a kid, really, with cliche storylines, stuff like trying to think, things like Samurai Jack. Well, it's not really cliche, but it's quite dark, and the story is quite sad, and just the narrative. A lot of it's not to do with the style. It's usually the narrative animations, because animation obviously gives you the chance to create things that you couldn't create using film. So it's good that as a kid that you had these things to influence you, and still today at my age I still watch and refer back to these things for like reference. And I guess that's it really for influences. In terms of my future, I'm not really sure, to be honest. My attention span is quite short. I always go off to one thing, another thing. So I've considered freelance, but the main thing I want to do, well, the biggest thing for me is I want to move abroad, and hopefully work within the industry, working on television, basically doing kids shows, anything I can find really. Maybe start out in advertising, go off from there, and hopefully one day work in an actual studio with a team. And I'd either want to be a storyboard artist or a character designer, and if I was so lucky, maybe become a director and have my own show, but that's like impossible.